Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. This is Frontiers of Knowledge segment. And when I read this news, this report, it was an eye-opener for me. And then I found that there's a lot of validity and a lot of reality in the note. Do you know that the way you wash, the way you take a bath, reveals your personality? Every morning, the daily routine starts with bathing. However, the way you take a bath is never the same. We might not have noticed before, but there's a tendency in all of us to start the bathing of the certain parts of the body first. Subconsciously, the decision is made by our body, and it tells a lot about our personality. And that is a cool stuff. It's a real cool stuff, as I said. And put together, the observations reveal that the way you wash, starting with what body part, would tell what sort of a person you are. Majority of the people wash their face first, but not all of them. If you wash your face first, what are you doing? It is attending to your five senses. Sense of smell, sight, touch, taste, and hearing. It means that you're very concerned about what you perceive and how you are perceived. And you want to take utmost care of what is noticed first by others, the face. When a person meets you, he looks at your face. So a person who watches the face for the first thing in the morning is concerned about the impact he is likely to have on the others. Individuals, human beings, are always anxious what others think about them. And they get frustrated and embarrassed if they hear the bad things about them. So, putting the best foot forward, metaphorically, becomes showing the best face. Now, suppose you wash your legs and arms first. You might have seen many people, especially in Islam, is wuzu. And wuzu is washing your feet, washing your hands, washing your forearms, washing your forelegs, and then the face. So if you are among those people who pay attention to their feet first, and the feet are the most of utmost concern to you, then you are a humble, down-to-earth person, realistic, absolutely tied to the Mother Earth. But however, there's another side to this as well. Arms and legs are also symbols of strength and willpower. The people who wash these parts of the body first have no fear of expressing your choices. You either hate something or you love something. There's no midway for you. And suppose the first thing you enter the shower, you wash your armpits first. Not arms, but armpits. Then that means that you're a popular person in your social circles. You're a reliable person. You're a trustworthy person, and who is not afraid of the hard work. So, then comes if you wash your private parts first. If you wash your private parts first, you are a very shy person. You can call yourself an introvert or a person with a very low self-esteem. You are not given much attention to a social group. You are a wallflower. Nobody bothers for you, and majority of the people ignore you. But those who know you closely They accept that you are a very genuine person on the earth. You struggle hard to take a stand and often keep quiet, often keep aloof, and you make people around you very comfortable. So these issues, the way you wash your first, your arms, your legs, your armpits, or your private parts, shows the basic essentials of your personality. And this is, as I said, a cool stuff, but it is quite revealing as well. So apart from this, there's another thing which affects you and influences you, the person that you become. The place where you are born influences the sort of a person you are. And now you would say hundreds and thousands of the people are born in one place. But as I said, this is just one aspect. Your birthplace determines one part of your psyche, your personality is not 100%. As early as the 5th century, when I was reading that Greek philosopher Theodotus, and Theodotus contrasts the self-control and stoic attitude of Spartans with more indulgent and free-thinking attitude of the citizens of Athens. And he said that the people born in Sparta are full of self-control, poise, bravery. Because you remember in Sparta what they used to do, any child who is sick at the time of the birth, they'll go to the top of a hill and throw him down and kill him. They didn't want anybody imperfect. They didn't want anybody sick. They didn't want anybody weak. But the Athens was a city that was famous for its indulgence, for its wines, for its merrymaking, for its dancing, not for fighting. Spartans were fighters. So the unique behaviors and the characteristics are ingrained in some cultures, and those attitudes impact you and make you what you are. You may be different, but then basic attributes will be the same. For example, when you talk to Italians, they wildly gesticulate. Their gestures are very wide. They are talking, but more than they're talking, their hands and arms and the fingers are moving. Dutch children, you look at them, they are notably easygoing and less fussy. And Russians, you would rarely see them smile in public. They hardly ever smile in public. And they're very jovial in their own circles. And these differences are very effective in determining what sort of a person you are. And these cultural values have an enduring effect, almost a permanent effect on your personality. Genetics do matter. And you have to be sure that your genetics are not hardwired. Over the past decades, we have seen how cultures have shaped the personality of the people. For example, adults from European culture tend to be more outgoing, more extrovert, and open to the new experiences from the people from the Asian cultures. Asians are much more introvert, much more withdrawn. And within Europe, we would find that the people from Northern Europe were more conscientious than their peers in the Southern Europe. And these differences start right from the very beginning. Surprisingly, apart from the culture, another thing which shapes your psychology is your parents. The way you are parented, the way you are brought up, the way you are treated affects you a lot. The daily routine that is established by the parents makes you what you are. Can you believe that a culture's impact is much more enduring? The cultural values that were revealed in 1970s are not valid today. So the parents, what they taught in the 60s and the 40s and the 50s, were different what they taught in the 70s and 80s and different than what they are being taught today. Now, for example, let's talk of the cultural values of individual and collectivism. In countries like, say, USA or in Netherlands, people are largely driven by the pursuit that benefit themselves, more selfish, more self-centered, and they want personal recognition, personal progress, and they want to boost their own social status, their financial status. Now, move away from these cultures of hedonistic, pleasure-seeking cultures to societies like Chile in Latin America, in Chile, and in South of Korea, for example, in Asia. High value is placed on the well-being of a larger group. Even in India and Pakistan, family, clan, tribe. So those are more important than the individual is. Not themselves. It's always the honor, the respect of the family, of the tribe, which is much more important. And the parents who discipline their children are strongly influenced by those social values. For example, in India, they will be teaching their children. In Korea, they'll be teaching their children. In Chile, they will be teaching their children, think of the others. Don't be selfish. While in the cultures of hedonistic Europe or in USA, they'll be saying, you have to be individualistic. And the parents in individualistic culture, collective parents, are much more likely to be reprimanding their children. They want them to think about their misbehavior and how it negatively impacts those around them. The Western culture doesn't think that way. And you are constantly being told to think about how your actions impact others. You are likely to feel anxiety, guilt, and shame. And that is why the sense of guilt, the sense of shame is much more in Asians than in Europeans. In Asia, so much so. Now, of course, they are changing. But that's again a cultural change. Whole thing is changing. Then, other thing is, in countries like, say, in Mexico, Chile, and USA, they promote self-gratification. I agree that that mode of self-gratification is now coming to the other countries as well, the old countries like South Korea, like India, like Philippines, like Pakistan. But parents in the indulgent societies, I call these indulgent societies, like USA, North America, Europe, they emphasize the need of two things. That is self-esteem and independence. But the people coming from the culture of South Asia and Asia, they don't think of self-esteem, they think be humble. They expect the children to entertain themselves. Not in India, not in Pakistan, not in Korea, not in Japan, not in China. When one of the kids misbehaves, they will suggest ways to amend. But the treatment is very different in the other countries. While the kids are expected to pursue gratification, they are asked, or rather goaded, to seek the rewards. Candy before dinner, or grabbing a toy on a shelf before getting permission. So, individualism. But then, the whole world is changing, and now we are becoming, in all the cultures, more individualistic. But the old culture still holds supreme. If our world becomes more interconnected the way it is becoming, then the diversity of the parenting approach would dwindle. How the parents act would lose its relevance and its importance, because individualism would be much more potent force than collectivism, because human beings essentially are individualistic. It is a social mores which tell them service before self, put others before you, not otherwise. As a matter of fact, more countries have become individualistic in the last 50 years, and more are becoming so. Nevertheless, the way you are brought up, in the culture which you are brought up, and the way you do your daily chores. I talked of the bathing part, determines what sort of a person you are. You are outgoing or you are introvert. You are an extrovert or you value other things in life, willpower, confidence. And are you individualistic or collective? Depends on the way you have been brought up and in the society in which you live. So the human personality is quite a varied, many-hued flower. That's what you are. Think about it and then just think, are you the way you are brought up? And just when you take a bath in the morning tomorrow, see which part of the body you are touching first. It would be interesting. Thank you.